So, question, what's your opinion on learning styles? Before we dive into that, let me start here. Why am I talking about learning styles? Because all change includes learning. We cannot do anything differently, whether this is about a culture change, a technology change, an external change like a pandemic, a personal change like moving to a new city. We cannot do any of that. We have to learn without learning something new, right? Whether it's a different way of interacting in a cultural change, understanding that new technology tool, figuring out how to work from home, or learning our way around a new city. So, given that all change includes learning, let's come back to this question of learning styles. For years, they were an established thing, stating that different people learn in different ways, visual, verbal, and so on, and that teachers and trainers need to adapt their their teaching processes accordingly. Then along came some studies, and I have citations from back in 2007 and again in 2018, and I'm sure there are others. And those studies indicated that, nope, learning styles are, quote, a major myth in education. Those studies determined that there are best ways to teach according to the topic, and that a student's particular preferences are not that relevant relative to the best ways according to the topic. Okay, interesting, right? And I imagine there was a big sigh of relief from training folks who were glad not to have to figure out how to appeal to all those different learning styles. But, you knew there had to be a but, right? But what about people who are very distinctly visual thinkers? Trying to teach someone whose brain is wired for visual thinking through verbal instruction, even if that's the supposed best way for the topic, is probably not going to work very well. And then there are what about the people who have aphantasia? These folks literally cannot visualize anything. And I know for those of us who don't have aphantasia, that's hard to believe and hard to even conceive of. But if someone with aphantasia is asked to visualize the color blue, nothing happens. They can't do it. So how will using visuals help them learn and retain? It may work to some extent since those visuals are external to the student and therefore obviously they can see them. But in terms of retention and practice, I think you can see the problem. So let's not throw learning styles out with the bathwater. Yes, the content you want to convey will more naturally fit one presentation mode or another. And yes, typically wired students will adapt and learn regardless of their personal preferences. But let's remember that not everyone is typical, and those who aren't may struggle through no fault of their own. And then, as a friend and colleague of mine who is absolutely the best trainer I know, as he pointed out to me recently, everyone learns better when the presentation is done in a multimodal way. Changing up the formats and approaches keeps people's attention, especially when we're talking about virtual training, and that helps them take in and retain what you're talking about. And remember, as I said at the beginning, all change includes learning. Therefore, how you present your change initiatives, goals, and objectives is important, and the more different ways you can present them will be to everyone's benefit. Questions, comments, you know where to leave them down there in the comments section, and I always come back to answer. And then if you haven't already subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for. And don't forget to click that bell to be notified when I release new videos. And once you've done all that, go ahead and check out the video description because there are links to other resources about change and change leadership that might be useful for you. Take care.